Well, welcome everyone. Let's get started. I'm Liz and I run Course Report, which is a resource for students who are choosing a coding boot camp.
And I'm Jess, and I'm the content manager here at Course Report. And we're so happy to welcome you and our panelists today for this live Q&A. All of these panelists work in bootcamp admissions.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump right in and introduce everyone because we've got 5 stellar panelists today. So we've got Stephanie Erishman, who is the senior admissions producer at General Assembly. General Assembly teaches 12-week full-time immersives in data analytics, data science, digital marketing, software engineering, and user experience design. So those are the courses that we're going to focus on today. We're really going to be focusing on admissions for the kind of immersive full-time programs at all of these boot camps. And then also Jonah Shipley is the admissions director at Springboard. So we're going to focus on Springboard's career tracks. And those are their immersive boot camps in data, design, coding, cybersecurity, and tech sales.
Jackie Anderson is the director of admissions at Dev Mountain, and Dev Mountain teaches 12-week full-time boot camps in Java, Python, OS, QA testing, user experience, data analytics, and those full-time boot camps are the ones that we're going to be focusing on today. Kaylin Brenneman is the director of admissions at Tech Elevator, where they are completely focused on software engineering, and that's the application process we'll dig into today. And Alyssa Osterbach is an admissions representative at Flatiron School, where they teach boot camps in software engineering, cybersecurity, data science, and product design.
Okay, so as you can see, everyone on this panel is an expert in how to get into their boot camps. They've, in many cases, built the admissions processes at their boot camps. They've interviewed a ton of applicants. They have a really good sense of what it takes to actually succeed at a boot camp. So we're going to spend the first half of this live Q&A asking questions about the process itself. So like, how technical does someone need to be before they apply? And when should you apply? And all of those kind of high-level basics.
Yeah, and then we're going to do a lightning round, which is when you'll be able to compare these schools and figure out 1 or 2 that you might be ready to apply for. So that's when we'll fill out this comparison guide that breaks down each of these schools' application processes.
Yeah, so if you asked a question when you registered, when you RSVP'd for this webinar, we're going to pass those on to our panel. We've already got a lot of really good questions. And then we'll also continue to take your questions throughout the next, 45 minutes. So I see some people already using the live chat. Thanks, David. Hi. And be sure to use that Q&A feature throughout the live panel. It's right on the right-hand side of your YouTube live screen. And you can ask any questions as we go along. We'll pull those in and ask our panel for you.
Yeah, and to just get everyone thinking, we'd love if you told us in the chat maybe where you're at in the bootcamp research process. Are you considering one of the boot camps that our panel works at? What's your biggest worry about the admissions process? Or what kind of job are you hoping to land when you graduate from a boot camp?
Absolutely. Okay, so that should kind of get the juices flowing. Let us know where you're coming from, what you're kind of thinking about when you are thinking about your admissions, your own personal admissions journey right now. We'd love to hear that from everyone who's tuning in. All right, so we're going to kick off this Q&A with some high-level questions about the application process. We're actually going to try something a little bit different. So I'm going to ask everyone on this panel to, in let's say 30 seconds, boil down the steps of your school's admissions process. And I'm going to follow along with a whiteboard and kind of take notes as everybody tells us about their school's steps to apply. And if this is a good whiteboard session, then we'll share it afterwards. And it's kind of a new thing for us. So, all right, we would love to hear the high-level steps to apply to everyone's boot camps.
Yeah, so we can start with Alyssa, if you can break that down for us.
Awesome. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm from Flatiron School. So regardless of which program you choose or the mode in which you choose to do our program, full-time, flexible, whatever that looks like for you, we have really 3 simple steps. You'll do a written application. You'll be invited to do an admissions interview, which is a non-technical interview. So it's more so us getting to know you, your goals for the program, things like that. And then you'll also complete an aptitude assessment either before or after you submit your written application, or before you interview. So that's kind of the gist for us.
Caitlin, do you want to jump in next?
Absolutely. Tech Elevator's admissions process is going to really be built for those without prior coding experience. So we're looking for those underlying traits that exist in successful software developers. To do that, we have first a quick aptitude test that's free and that's on our website. Second, an application, and third, an interview stage. We do part behavioral interview one-on-one with our candidates, as well as a long aptitude test. And each step is going to be built to determine if that individual has what it takes to learn the skills and get a job in software development.
And Jonah, take us through that springboard, those basic steps.
Yeah, absolutely. So Springboard, you'll want to, for any of our courses, you'll first apply online. And you're going to fill out a short form just with some basic information. Then we're actually going to reach out to you same day, and you'll complete a fit interview with one of our admissions directors. And that's really just to make sure that this is a strong fit for both parties. And then once that fit interview is complete, you'll take a short skill survey, and this is going to determine your starting point in the course. And then once this is complete, you'll be set.
And Stephanie, what about GA?
Awesome. Well, at GA, it starts with a simple conversation with myself or one of my colleagues in admissions. From that conversation, we want to give each student an opportunity to sample the curriculum. So we do a fun, engaging project, whether it be simple coding like HTML or focusing on the research aspects of UX. After that project is complete, we meet for 25-30 minutes via Zoom, and we go over just making sure the program is a good fit and any additional questions. After that, we apply, or a student completes the application, and then we focus on laying a solid foundation with about 30 to 35 hours worth of pre-work, just making sure students are academically ready for their immersive course before it starts.
And Jackie, how about Dev Mountain?
Yeah, Dev Mountain, similar to what's been said, we have 3 key elements in our application process. The first being filling out a no charge form to get some basic information. From there, you'll be prompted to schedule a phone consultation with the admissions team where we want to get to know you. We want to see how our classes line up with what you're looking for. Here's some of your goals. That can take a consulting nature if you're considering we have quite a wide variety of disciplines, so we can talk about the differences and what you're interested in. And on that call, we'll talk about the third step, which is doing a technical assessment. We'll talk about it's basically we'll talk about it more later, but it's basically a quiz format. And once you clear that, we go on to admission. And there's not much pre-work. We're not heavy in pre-work leading up to the class.
I would love to know more about the ideal applicant. This is something that our audience is always asking about. Do you find, is there a certain type of person that gravitates towards your boot camp? And why don't we start with Alyssa for this question?
Yeah, that's a great question. Flatiron School is great because, you don't have to have any prior experience coming into it. We're really focused on career changers or people just wanting to get into tech. I think that's why a lot of boot camps were created, for people that can't afford to take 2 to 4 years to complete a degree. So we're really looking for people that are willing to learn. I think you guys all know in tech that you have to be a constant learner. Things are changing constantly. So that's something that we really look for students. Also, people that are really perseverant in their learning, because coding is hard, or everyone would do it. So people that are really focused on, okay, can I learn these things and can I persevere when it's hard? And so that's really kind of what we're looking for in an applicant, which I think kind of hits a lot of different skill sets.
Yeah. And how about at Tech Elevator, Kaylin? Is there an ideal applicant there?
We see a lot of people coming into Tech Elevator from different backgrounds, but the ideal Tech Elevator student, they know they want to break into tech. They're highly motivated and they are passionate about their choice. It's not an easy program. It's not something that we diminish in any way, And most of my students say it's one of the harder things that they've ever done. But our staff are really that differentiator. They're going to match that student's energy every single day. And if the student's moving toward the finish line, we're right there every step of the way cheering them on.
Jonah, what's your answer to this question?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, the kind of ideal applicant is just someone who's highly motivated to change their career. Similar to what Kaylin said, Springboard also, it's not an easy course. It's not a passive course. It definitely requires like a lot of commitment and a lot of focus. And a big part of that is we take our role in changing someone's career really seriously. And we definitely work, really hard to ensure that they get what they need in terms of the skill set and the guidance to achieve this. So we really want people that are motivated, that are ready to challenge themselves and push themselves. Because changing your career is not easy, but it's of the most rewarding things you can do as well.
And Stephanie, what about at GA? Is there a specific type of person that you're looking for?
Yeah, so our potential student is someone, again, looking to change their career. Our programs are tailored to a beginner student. So students who are passionate about getting into tech, but sometimes they don't know exactly which direction. And that's why we're there to help them along the way, kind of figure out their niche and what they're passionate about. So our mission truly is helping students pursue the work that they love. So really finding that ideal candidate that's just looking for a career that they are passionate about and that they are happy to come to work every day.
And Jackie, at Dev Mountain, what kinds of applicants are you looking for?
We embrace people that also come from a wide variety of backgrounds. And I think that leads to people bringing diversity of past experience, of thought that really can be celebrated in the workplace. So you want to capitalize on that. I feel strongly about people not putting themselves in a box of just because I wasn't a mathlete, I'm not ready for this career track. So we really want to help you hone into like what you're looking for in a career and in a boot camp. So people who have started that thought process of what's important to me in a career, what's important to me, and how do I fit with this tech path forward, and who's ready to put in the time commitment for that, for the program.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like what I'm hearing from everyone is that you can be a beginner in order to start the application process, and you can come from a variety of backgrounds, but you do have to understand that this is not an easy career change. You have to be passionate about that career change and like very intentional. I just had a quick question after everyone told their schools the steps to their application process. I heard a couple of people say that it was no cost. Is there such thing as a application fee at any of your schools? Just want to clear that up. I have never heard of an application fee at a boot camp. If you're watching this and you see an application fee, please send it to us. We'd love to know which schools are charging an application fee, but I don't think that's something that you should expect. All right, cool. So let's talk about timing. I heard everyone kind of say, it's about a 3 to 4 step process. There are a variety of different like calls that you'd have to do with the boot camp, different kind of, coding challenges maybe. But when should somebody apply to a boot camp? Can they start the process a few months out, or should they wait until they're, ready to quit their job and start the boot camp the next day? What's your advice on timing?
Yeah, so with Flatiron School, I would say about 1 to 2 months prior to when you want to start. We do have start dates every like 3 to 6 weeks, depending on your program. But that should give you plenty of time to get through the application process. That takes probably about a week, depending on how responsive you are to setting up your interview, things like that. But the thing that takes longer, we do have required pre-work for all of our programs, and that can range from like 25 to 60 hours before you would start. So that can take you about 2 to 3 weeks to get through, depending on which program you choose. Also, setting up your financing can take a little bit of time if you are doing like an installment plan or the loan option that we offer. So giving yourself plenty of time to not have to rush through that is really important to us. So I would say like 1 to 2 months out. We also have like 10-minute chats too, if you're like not ready to apply and you want some more general info. So that's a good option if you're not ready to move forward at that point too.
For Tech Elevator, I'm always going to recommend that somebody really is digging into doing their research, understanding that this is the right choice for them first before, making a rash decision to enroll in a program they're not fully committed to. But very similarly, we have events, we have chats. Once you know that this is right for you, 1 to 2 months is going to be a sweet spot. We also have about 35 to 45 hours worth of pre-work before the class starts. Financing is always a journey, and there's a lot of material to get through. So our classes do fill if students are also looking at an in-person option. We are more of a first come, first serve until that class is completely full. And so it's really more of, is there a seat? But we do wait list. So 1 to 2 months, but we will enroll up to 3 weeks before the cohort begins.
Yeah, at Springboard, it's really any time, to be honest. I mean, the main thing obviously is making sure that you've gotten to the point where you know that you want to apply to this boot camp. We do have monthly cohorts, so you can join, each month. So there's no kind of, stretch for time there. And yeah, so it's basically when you're at the point where you've decided this is something you want to do, you can apply. Would suggest doing it, earlier, maybe like 3 weeks or something in advance, just so the spots don't fill up. But outside of that, as long as there's availability for said cohort, then you can apply at any time.
Yeah, and at General Assembly, very similar. We have start dates already listed from now until November, so you can really apply at any time. We do recommend 3 to 4 solid weeks. Again, just giving yourself an opportunity to have those conversations, making sure your hardware is set up, making sure you understand the pre-work. We do office hours for pre-work as well if students have questions or they want additional clarity. So just giving yourself plenty of time to get settled and to make this major life change.
At Dev Mountain, I would say the time to apply is now. If you have an interest and started the exploration process, get connected with us so that we can help you work out your timeline. We can help you answer questions about tuition or whatever the obstacles may be. We also schedule out at least 2 months plus in advance classes. And so we'll be able to help you move your start date if you need to. There's flexibility there, but it's a life change. So if you find the motivation now, use that momentum to take the next step and we'll help you find the second one.
And along those lines, do you recommend applying to multiple boot camps or just kind of putting all your eggs in one basket and just applying to that one boot camp that you're most excited about? Just open this up to the whole panel.
Yeah, I would say, clearly there's multiple boot camps out there with very varying options in terms of length, flexibility of the course, different things that they offer. So definitely do your research. I would try to narrow it down to like 1 or 2, because sometimes when you apply to so many, just like college or different programs, it can be hard to kind of narrow it down. So I would say try not to apply to just one unless you're really set on that. But it sounds like everybody's got start dates pretty frequently. So if you don't get into your top choice, it seems like you could probably get into a couple of other ones if you need to. But I would say try to kind of vary, if not do your research before and really narrow down the ones that you really, really want to go to.
Yeah, I think it's really important to know what you want out of a boot camp. Going into it, there are a ton of resources out there to narrow your focus based on your must-haves. You should use them. CoursePort's obviously a great resource, and I always recommend digging into any program student outcomes. Dig in, digest, ask questions. Tech Elevator reports to SIR, which is the Council on Integrity and Results Reporting. We want our results published. We want them verified and screamed from the rooftops because we sink our heart and our soul into every single student, and you should know what you want out of that bootcamp.
Yeah, honestly, similar advice, really. I think the more you know about the bootcamp, the better. I think it's super important that, each person picks the right one for them. So we're not shy either at Springboard, in saying like, maybe this isn't the right time for someone. And then we'll happily send them out resources and things to look at beforehand. So I think it's just about figuring out like your timeline, kind of what you really want. And just speaking to as many boot camps as you can. It's always worth, getting them on the phone, chatting with them, and just really making sure that like this is the one you want to do before you do it. So I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on what's out there and learning more about each one.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, doing your research in the beginning. So kudos to you for joining this live chat and just gathering all of this information. Just really doing your research on the end, talking to people and understanding what the boot camp experience is like. We connect a lot of our incoming students with alumni that volunteer their time to talk to our students about what their process was like throughout the course and after the course. So connecting with one of us in the admission side so we can connect you to one of our alumni. Again, these are students who are volunteering their time just to talk about General Assembly and help students make the right choice. So that's a great resource for incoming students as well. But again, just talk to as many people as you can, find out what their experience was and make sure that that fits with what you're looking for.
I'd echo that. I'm a huge proponent of people researching what school is best for them. At Dev Mountain, we want you on the path that's best for you. And it's wonderful hearing all the resources all the schools have as far as getting outcome reports, talking to grads. So I'm going to echo that advice. I think that's wonderful. And in the end, I feel like a successful school is probably doing multiple elements right. And so the biggest thing is finding out what you want to prioritize in the boot camp, what's important to you, and using that to really narrow down the ones you want to focus on.
Yeah, that's all fantastic advice. My advice is to apply to at least 2 boot camps, because as you can kind of see, listening to everyone talk, the admissions process can be a real time for you to actually get to know the school. It's a great kind of touch point with the boot camp itself. A couple of y'all mentioned, if you're not the right fit or if you don't get in. So what happens if you don't get if someone doesn't get into your boot camp? Can people reapply, and are there any rules around that?
Yeah, so Flatiron School, we really try in that admissions interview to gauge, students' interest in the program. And if we feel maybe that you're not the right fit, or you're not ready to move forward, or haven't really done your research, we have free prep courses on our website, which is the same thing as the pre-work that would be required before the course would start. So that's always a really good thing to jump into, especially in whatever specific program you're hoping to do. So that's maybe something that we would suggest, as well as timing. A lot can happen, if you're like, I'm going to do this 6 months down the road, like life happens and maybe it's not the best time to move you forward at that point. But if you're really gung-ho and really want to move forward, I definitely think that there's opportunity for that. If for some reason you don't get into a certain program, I think it's like a 3-month waiting period for students. So typically we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But hopefully your admissions representative can kind of advise you on next steps, because we always want students to be able to start when they're ready.
Tech Elevator also does not accept everybody into the program. It's a pretty rigorous admissions process. I think any school that cares about their outcomes should have a rigorous admissions process. The fact of the matter being, we really don't want to take your money if we don't believe that you can complete the program and get a job as a junior software developer. So everything about Tech Elevator is built in service to do those 2 things for the people who enroll in our boot camps. We have about a 6-month waiting period after rejection is given, but absolutely welcome students back after that. In my time, I've seen some people come back 2-3 times, and they're still success stories. They get in that 2nd time, they get in that 3rd time, and they graduate and they get a job, and huge proponents of the program.
Yeah, Springboard, it's honestly similar. Like it starts with motivation, to be honest, from the sort of admissions fit interview. So if we can see someone's just really not motivated at all, then we'll definitely let them know that like that seems to be the case, and this is something that takes like just a higher level of motivation. In terms of skills, that's kind of where the skills survey comes in handy. So for our more technical courses like software engineering and data science, you'll have the opportunity. The skills survey will basically determine your starting point. So if you're less advanced at this point, you can take our 4-week foundations. That's going to get you up to speed before the career track. If for one of the other courses, you don't make it through the skills survey, you can take it again in 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll send you an email and basically give you resources and things to study between that time frame. So if someone is motivated to change their career, we genuinely want to do as much as we can to ensure that they can take the course. So we'll do everything we can to kind of get people up to speed and at least send you resources, before you try again with the skills survey.
Yeah, and at General Assembly, we're going to meet every student where they're at individually. So if a student isn't quite academically ready to go into software engineering or data analytics, that's okay. We have a lot of resources, that workshops for intro to coding or intro to SQL or intro to Excel to really help build that skill set. So it wouldn't be a hard denial for students, but again, just meeting you where you're at in your educational journey, and making sure that at the end of the day, we're setting you up for success. And that's our biggest priority, is making sure we do everything we can on the front end to make sure you're prepared and ready for your course.
At Dev Mountain and admissions, I've talked to people who are coming in with a couple of years of related industry experience, some who are starting from ground zero, and we want our course to be valuable across the board. And so in the admissions process, we're really trying to hone into what your goals are, where you're at, and also, like we said before, meeting you where you're at. I love that phrase because that's our goal as well. If you do not pass the admissions process the first time, specifically in the technical assessment area, it's not a hard fail. We will connect with you. We'll help make a plan, whether that be a prep course, a timeline, and there's no hard denial. We'll give you next step. So only those who self-select to not move forward, not meet us and take that next step are the ones who don't move forward.
I'm hearing from a lot of you about pre-work and prep programs, and we were going to ask about prep programs, pre-work in our lightning round coming up, but let's just talk about it now. So do all of your schools offer pre-work? Is it free? Wallace just asked in our chat if students are doing the pre-work together or did they do it alone? So if you could chime in on that, let's start with Alyssa first.
Yeah. So our pre-work is free on our website. It's the same thing as our prep course that's listed. If you click on whatever discipline you're hoping to study, they're there. It'll transition over to your application as well. So if you start some of the pre-work to just test it out to see if we're a good fit, you can transition that over to the pre-work that's required before you would start the course. That is free. Once you are admitted to the program and working on the pre-work before or after, or I guess after, we do offer, there's a Slack channel for students to be added to, so you can get online and ask questions. We also provide technical coaches for those students after admission as a part of that service. So if people are struggling or getting stuck on something or need help setting up their environment, whatever that looks like, that's offered to students. But that's pretty much a good gauge of how you'll do within the program for us.
We also have pre-work, about 35 to 45 hours worth of work. It is only available currently to enrolled students in the upcoming courses, and we send that about 30 days before their programs start. Likewise, we have dedicated delivery teams that are for the delivery of the program who help students through, and we also utilize Slack. So students are able to connect with their peers who will be their peers for the next 14 or 30 weeks, as well as their staff, and get help working through financing, their actual equipment delivery and setup, as well as the technical portions of the pre-work.
Yeah, so we've kind of designed our skills survey such that it can, if someone passes a skills survey, we know that they're ready to start the career track, basically. So there's no like pre-work per se. The skill survey is the one thing you need to take. That is free. That's just part of the admissions process. You do have, access to the curriculum from 2 weeks prior to the starting date, though. So if you do enroll earlier, you can get started with the curriculum a little sooner if you want to. And we do also have options on our website for like an intro to design, intro to data, that type of thing, if you're still figuring out, if you really want to take one of these career tracks.
Jonah, are those paid intro classes? Those cost
They
some
are, yeah,
amount of money? Okay.
They do. They have a fee, but if you then enroll to one of our career tracks, then we'll refund that fee for you.
Yeah, and at General Assembly, our pre-work comes after a student applies for the program. So at this point, a student has completed the project that's very interactive, and then they have enrolled, and then they get the pre-work for their course 60 days prior to their course starting. The pre-work for us is really going to lay a solid foundation for the course. So for software engineering specifically, it's going to lay the foundation for HTML and CSS, really making sure that students have that solid foundation and a really good central core knowledge of what they're getting into for the course. We offer a lot of resources during that pre-work as well. So they'll have their student success advisor that's going to be checking in on them, making sure that they are utilizing all of the resources, including the office hours that we have set in place for some of our students coming in, making sure that they get all their questions answered, their hardware set up, and that they're ready for the course to start.
At Dev Mountain, we want our programs to be friendly towards people who are beginning this journey into the tech world. And so we don't have pre-work that's required. We do require a willingness to explore some basic concepts in coding like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And anything you bring in that knowledge will be a benefit to you once you start the program. Our program is split into a foundations and a specialization format. So the first half of our program is really going to focus on key core computer science skills. And again, it'll help having some of that knowledge already there, but it will be heavily covered the first half of your program.
Okay, thank y'all for taking that question a little bit early. I feel like it wasn't just a yes or no lightning round question. We really needed to kind of talk about it because it's such a big part of the actual admissions process that someone might not think about. Okay, so Dan and David both asked if they needed previous coding experience. I feel like we've answered this question already, but just to be very clear and clarify, do applicants need to have a background in programming, and what specifically do they need to know? We're going to talk about coding challenges next, so we can kind of get into the exact language in a minute. But are there any of your boot camps that actually require some programming background? Alyssa, I'm hearing no from you.
No, not for
Yeah.
software engineering. The only program that does have a prerequisite or would be good to have a prerequisite is our data science program, because it is a little bit more like math heavy. So it's kind of hard to pick up calculus just like out of thin air. But that's the only one that really has kind of more of a prereq per se.
No prior coding experience required for Tech Elevator. We do require, obviously, our students come through the admissions process and be accepted. I am always going to recommend that students dabble. There's a ton of free coding resources out there. We have some on our website. They're free Code Camp, Code Academy, all kinds of things. Make sure this is something that you like. Like I said before, this is not an easy program. It's not an easy industry. We want to make sure if you're a career changer or if you're what we like to call tech adjacent, that you actually enjoy coding, because it's something that some of my instructors liken to while they're in the program, their new full-time job and their favorite hobby. So it is not for the light of heart to come in through the Tech Elevator.
Yeah, I think Springboard, the main ones this is relevant to is data science and software engineering. And basically the level of experience in coding is just going to determine your starting point. So if you do have some experience already and that, shows through the skills survey, you'll start from the top of our career track. If you don't, then you basically will just start with our foundations, which, as I mentioned, is like a 4-week sprint. Basically, it's no additional charge. And then that's going to get you up to speed to the starting point of the career track.
And here at General Assembly, our courses are beginner friendly for software engineering, UX design, and data analytics. But with everything, knowledge is power. So start taking advantage of the workshops and everything now. Even if you don't understand the language or the jargon in a workshop, then when you see it again in the course for a second time, you'll say, oh, I get it now. So we do encourage that. And then, of course, for data science, we do want students to come in with a foundation in Python. Data science is our only intermediate level course. It's going to be pretty in depth So coming in with that solid foundation in Python, so you're not trying to learn Python at the same time that you're trying to learn more advanced skills. And if you are interested in data science and want to go into that course and don't have that Python skill set yet, just reach out to us, because that's where our workshops and some of our pre-course work can come in handy for you.
At Dev Mountain, we don't have a hard requirement for previous knowledge. Again, just a willingness to explore. And I will sing from the rooftops, I love prep programs. I think they're a great way to explore and help ease some of your feelings of, is this right for me? What is this all about? Can I picture myself doing this? Love prep programs for that reason. It also can get you introduced to the school you're looking at. Dev Mountain has a 4-week prep program. It's called Coding Basics. And we try to keep it very low cost so that it isn't a barrier to take that first step. And again, you're going to skill up what you bring in. So it's a great way to start off on the right foot.
As Liz said earlier, we had quite a few questions from our subscribers about sort of the technical interviews in the admissions process for boot camps. So I'd love if any of you could give us sort of like an example of a coding challenge or a sort of a technical assessment that applicants can expect at your boot camp.
Yeah, Flatiron School doesn't have a technical assessment, just the admissions interview, which is non-technical, and then the aptitude assessment, which really just helps us to gauge your knowledge of critical thinking and problem solving. We found that this is a really good indicator of how well students will do in the program. So if you could pass that aptitude assessment, you'll do just fine. It's 15 minutes, 50 questions total. So just getting through as many as you can, basically.
Very similar. We do not have any technical requirements prior to day one. No coding as a part of the admissions process. And our aptitude test, we do have 2 as a part of that 3-step process. They're based on problem solving, pattern recognition, and logic skills. All of our tests are predictive of success. We've run those a lot over the years. We want to make sure those are actually telling us something about somebody's journey with us. And they're also certified as non-biased, which was something else that was really, really important to us.
So we do have skill surveys for each of our courses that are going to be tailored to the specific course. We keep it pretty buttoned up on what's inside them content-wise, but they take roughly sort of anything between 30 to 60 minutes to complete. And we ask that the student will try and do that same day, because it really helps us, begin the process of, getting in the mindset of meeting deadlines and those types of things. So yeah, in terms of the content in it, the only ones that require some actual hard coding will be software engineering and data science, but you can do that with any language of your choice. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're not able to do that, then you'll be navigated to the foundations beginning.
At General Assembly, we give students 2 to 3 days to work on their project, and it is tailored for their program. Our projects are fun, they're engaging. So for software engineering, it's very beginner friendly with detailed directions, but it's allowing students to get hands-on with coding, which a lot of students don't have that yet. So it allows them to play around with HTML and CSS, rearrange some images on a website, do a little bit of JavaScript backend. So really just allowing students that opportunity to kind of test drive the program. For UX design, we focus on the research aspect and creating that customer persona. And then for data science, we give students large data sets and we ask them to analyze data and answer specific questions. So our projects are made to benefit the student and allow a student, again, just to test drive the program, to get excited about it and just make sure that it's a really good fit. And then we go over their project together via Zoom, very casually. We go over their project, what they like about it, did they come across any challenges, and again, just reiterating it's a good fit for them.
Dove Mountain, we do have a technical assessment as the last step in the application process, and an applicant does need to clear it in order to go on to admission. It's timed at 30 minutes. It's given in multiple choice quiz format. And basically it's broken down into 3 segments. There's like an HTML, a JavaScript, and a critical thinking format. And there also are some questions that deal with how you problem solve, how you work through the nature of problem solving and self-efficacy. And all of that gives us a good window into not just like where you're at skill wise, but also how you could potentially you have to do in the course. And so it's something that if you don't pass the first time, you can take it again. And it's a lot of the answers that you're looking for, you can find in the directions in the question, as long as you're looking at it in the right way.
Amazing. Okay, so it sounds like there's some real variety in those, kind of technical interviews. I'm putting that in quotes because not all of these are technical. But it sounds like Flatiron and Tech Elevator. We're talking all kind of logical problem solving, pattern recognition. Springboard has the skills survey, which we're keeping pretty buttoned up, but you can do that in any programming language. And then General Assembly kind of focuses more on a project with HTML and CSS. And then Dev Mountain, a multiple choice quiz that covers HTML, JavaScript, and critical thinking and problem solving. So actually quite a bit of variety there. Thanks everyone for giving us a little inside scoop into what to expect. Okay, this may be kind of a vague question, but how hard do you think it is to get accepted to your school? And like, do you think, is that intentional? Do you think that it is hard to get into the boot camps that you work for?
Yeah, I think with any program, it should be intentional, the things that you're asked to do within the application process. I mean, tech is really rigorous, so the application process should also mirror that. I know that that is what it is at Flatiron School. We don't just accept everyone, but we want to make sure, like a lot of people have already mentioned, that it's the right fit, that it is a significant investment of both time and money. So we want to make sure that you feel good about it, that we feel good that you're going to succeed within the course, because we would not want to put somebody in that position to set you up for failure just to get your money. So we want to make sure that it's a good fit for not only us, but you as well, and that you're going to be successful and get your desired outcomes that you're looking for.
I do think it is hard to get into Tech Elevator. But I also think that there are a lot of misconceptions about what it takes to break into tech. A lot of people I talk to, a lot of people I tell, what do you do for a living? And we're talking about work and boot camps. And they're like, oh, I'm not smart enough to do that. It's absolutely not true. These misconceptions about what it takes to develop are the reasons that boot camps exist. It's the most exciting part about this kind of evolution in education. Absolutely try your hand at it, because you do not need to be the smartest person in the room. You do not need to know calculus to become a software developer. It's absolutely accessible. And let the aptitude test, let you know how you can get there.
Yeah, I think if you're really determined, and you're at the point where this is definitely something you want to do, and you've decided this, and you're ready to take on, this kind of journey to change your career, I don't think it's hard, because I think even in the more technical elements, we have things that can help you get there. I think if you're not at the point where you're, really motivated or determined to take this on, or you have like a lot of doubts or that type of thing, it will probably seem more challenging because we ask a lot of questions just to make sure that this is the right fit, not just for you, but for us as well, because we really want to make sure that everyone's successful.
Yeah, and at General Assembly, I wouldn't necessarily say it's difficult or challenging. Our biggest challenge, honestly, is that we do fill up very quickly for our program. It is in demand, so we want to make sure that we have a seat available for you. But outside of that, again, like we said earlier, we meet you where you're at academically. So if you are struggling with the project, that's okay. We have prep to help you succeed at that and be able to build that skill set. So again, as long as you have the motivation and the will to want to change your career, then we can help you do that.
I'd say at Dev Mountain, I wouldn't necessarily say that it is hard to get in, I would say our goal in the admissions process is to help you identify your goals and give you a chance to explore the field you're considering as a career. And so that is something that is very much a focus in the process. I think it's a vulnerable experience to consider this career change. And so there's the mindset of our team is to be a support, a cheerleader, a guide, really build on the momentum you have done to explore this new career field. And in that spirit, we don't have, one shot pass fail. It's more set up to be, here's your next step. If you want to take it, we're here to help you. And because of that, only those who don't want to move forward usually are those who don't get accepted.
So John sent in a question about initial starting salary for boot camp grads and placement rates. And then Kaylin earlier mentioned CIRR before. So I'd love to know, how should an applicant consider a school's job outcomes when choosing the right program for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Flatiron School has a jobs report that's audited by a third party. So it's taken a while for this one with COVID to come out, but we just came out with our 2021 jobs report. But I would say, looking at that data, there's a lot of information, probably way more than you actually need to know, but it's broken out by program, by discipline. Did they do online? Did they do full-time? Did they do in-person? All of those things. So you can see where they got a job, what that looks like salary-wise. Also to our LinkedIn page, if you go to Flatiron School, there's an alumni tab and you can see where all of our students got jobs. So if there is a role or company that you're looking into, you can always search there and see if you can connect with our alumni. They're really great to reach out to. A lot of them are really open to talking about their journey. We also have a podcast that's on our YouTube page. If you guys want to go to there, it's a lot of different students that have gone through different programs that we offer, and they talk about their job outcome and kind of where they're at now. So there's a lot of good student testimony on there if you guys are looking for outcomes.
So as Jess mentioned, we report to SIR, which is the Council of Integrity and Results Reporting, who have very strict guidelines on how they take and audit those reports. I think for students, it's really important to understand what you're looking at. I think you want to know that those reports are counted as in market or in industry. So for Tech Elevator, we don't count jobs that are not in technology. They're within 180 days of graduation, and there are no exceptions. So if a student does not opt out of the job search on day one, they are in that report. It's also really important as you look at boot camps that are making their way from in-person to especially online, which is something that we found ourselves in the last few years with COVID and expansion, that you dig into your local area, your local community. So we aggregate average starting salaries, but for the last 6 years, we've been primarily based in the Midwest. So if you find yourself on the coast or you find yourself in a higher cost of living, definitely dig into some of those reports for people in your area. Look at LinkedIn, look at those things, because absolutely cost of living plays a part. And even the changing landscape of remote offers are changing the way things are happening right now.
Yeah, so we have all of our career outcomes pretty clearly on our website. The main kind of area for us is the job guarantee eligibility. So if you fit that criteria, if you don't get your job within 6 months of finishing the course, then you'll get a full refund of the course. As it stands, of job qualified individuals, we've seen 93% of them actually receive a job offer within finishing the course. And really the way we get there is through our career services team, which are going to be sort of present throughout, whichever course you do. And they're going to offer one-on-one career coaching. So this is during the course and for 6 months after, as I said. And these are people who are, they're experts in the field. They've been, VPs, directors at companies. They've previously coached professionals to land new roles. And it kind of comes down to the reality that when you have a portfolio that has the work that people are looking for, and you have a team of people that are actually helping you get that job, that's what really helps people stand out. So I think what's really important for a potential student is that you ask those questions, whichever bootcamp you're speaking to, you know, be really thorough. If that's like the main thing that you are looking for out of this, it's like the career outcome, just be really thorough about it. Ask the questions, you know, pick the one that resonates with you most.
Yeah, and here at General Assembly, we also have an outcomes report completed by a third party. So we're able to break it down into retention and each program, the placement rates. So we have all of that information. We do have dedicated career coaches as well, but also GA has a nice advantage is that we are owned by Adecco, which is one of the largest talent sourcing agencies. So we do have a lot of resources and a lot of established partnerships that we've been able to cultivate over the last 10 plus years that GA's been around. So our students have access to job boards and job postings that our career coaches kind of guide them to that they may not see anywhere else. So definitely ask questions about their outcomes, ask questions about what partnerships they have established. Are you looking for a mid-sized company, a startup? Do you want to work for a large tech company? So getting a list of all of those resources and those partnerships that are already established.
The outcomes and getting that first job position is definitely what the plan was, the goal was from day one. And so due diligence and exploring what information is posted for each school, I think is time well spent. And especially how that information was collected. At Dev Mountain, we do have outcome numbers posted on our website that go through an intensive legal review process. That's usually why, as most schools probably agree, we don't have as up-to-date numbers as we always wish, because we do want to make sure we're giving you the most clear and correct picture. And I'd say beyond just looking at numbers of outcome and graduation numbers, other elements that were talked about can be just as important in your job search. Dev Mountain does have an outcomes team that will work in the classroom with you. Part of the curriculum is going to be things like resume workshopping, how to negotiate salary, items like that. And then outside of the classroom, we do one-on-one consulting, we do events, hiring events, things like that. And so ask questions about what other elements are a part of the outcomes effort of the school you're looking at. I know for us, the outcomes team, we call it recruiting in reverse, because a lot of our outcome team members have been tech recruiters previously, which really helps them give good insight into how to help you get that first position.
Amazing. Okay, y'all, we're gonna motor into our lightning round. We've got just a few minutes to get through these, and I'm gonna let Jess ask all of these questions. You can give yes or no answers. You can expand a little bit if you want to. And as Jess asks the questions, I'm going to follow along with this worksheet. And then if you're joining now, we'll send out the worksheet afterwards. Okay, Jess, kick it off.
All right. So the first question that we got a lot is, are there any age minimums or maximums for your school? So let's start with Alyssa.
No minimums, no maximums for us, but you need to at least be 18 years of age and have graduated high school. Proof of, I know that's the next one, but proof of high school completion is a requirement for Flatiron School for the minimums.
Perfect. Kaylin?
18 years of age or older. We have no degree requirements.
No maximum, minimum is 18 unless without parents' permission.
At General Assembly, 18 years of age or older, and you can change your career at any age, so we welcome that.
All right, fabulous. And we already had some people jump in about the college degree or high school diploma. For Springboard, is that a factor? Do you need
you don't have to have done a degree to complete any of our courses. For some of them, a 4-year bachelor's is required for the job guarantee side of things.
Okay. And what about for General Assembly?
You do have to have a high school diploma.
Okay. And Dev Mountain?
No high school diploma, but to correct the board, there is an 18 age minimum.
Oh, thank you.
For General Assembly as well.
Okay. 18
or older.
What are the acceptance rates like at your coding boot camp? Or you could do it on a scale of 1 to 10, like how competitive is it to get in? With 1 being maybe the least competitive, 10 very competitive.
And an acceptance rate if you share it.
Great. Yeah, we have a minimum of 18 years or older on the board there too. Sorry. I would say it's close to an 8, depending on the program. Like many of the other programs, we do have a limited number of spots. So I think that's what makes it the most competitive. We don't have like an acceptance rate. I know there's probably a lot out there, but it's really hard to kind of look at that objectively, as many other college acceptance rates are as well. So I wouldn't say that there's anything to share there, I guess.
We measure a little differently. We see about 50% making it from application to day one. So not a straight rejection rate or acceptance rate per se, but around 50% of our applicants are making it through to acceptance in day one.
I would say ours is about a 6.5 out of 10 in terms of difficulty to get it and been accepted.
I think at GA, the most challenging part is definitely finding seats available, since we are filling up very quickly. And as far as acceptance rates, we don't do a flat rejection, so we don't count any rejection or acceptance rates. Again, we just meet students where they are.
Similar with Dev Mountain, we don't have an acceptance rate. We want to meet where they're at, encourage you along the way. And I would say it'd probably be on the lower if you were on a scale of as far as difficulty getting accepted.
Diana had asked a question about financial resources for minorities. So I'd love to know, does your school offer scholarships or discounts that are live right now that people could get right now?
Yeah, Flatiron School does offer scholarships. They range from $1,000 to $2,000. All the active scholarships that we have are listed on our tuition page on our website. There is a separate application form that you'll fill out independent of the application. So you'll ask your admissions representative about that, and they can share that with you if you qualify for or meet the qualifications of either of the scholarships that we offer.
Absolutely. Tech Elevator has we've stood up a Represent Tech scholarship. We wanted to represent underrepresented individuals in technology and give them more accessibility to education. So we give one scholarship for on 85% of tuition to every cohort start date for every location. And we've actually gone a step further. We've asked some of our hiring partners, our community partners, to match some of those. So in certain locations, we also have privately backed Represent Tech scholarships as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, so at Springboard, we have a few different scholarships. We have a Woman in Tech scholarship, a Diversity in Tech scholarship. We also have a needs-based and half or full tuition scholarship. So these are going to range from $500 all the way up to the full tuition covered. It just requires a short application process. We also have a scholarship for people coming through course report at the moment that's going to reduce $1,000 from any of the course, which is CR Springboard 1000.
Awesome. And at General Assembly, we do have a scholarship for women or individuals who identify as women or transgender. It's called our Break the Glass Scholarship. And outside of that, we do have some discounts available as well. Discounts for veterans and our military spouses, as well as some additional discounts that are listed on our website.
Dev Mountain also has scholarships ranging from $500 to $5,000. Whatever is live and active, you'll find on our main website under scholarships. They cycle through, but they can focus on things like diversity in tech, etc. And we also have awesome partners that will sponsor similar scholarships throughout the year as well.
So from start to finish, how long does the application process take at your schools?
For Flatiron School, it's probably about a week, depending on when you can get your application in or your interview scheduled, but it can take about a week.
Sorry about that. We see about an average of 28 days right now from somebody going from beginning of the process through to acceptance, though it is very self-led. That student can go through much quicker than that. A good portion of that admissions process are on their own time.
Cool.
Depending on,
Yes.
the finance options or the admission sort of interview. It can take anything from about 24 hours to up to about a week.
Yeah, and at General Assembly, we can do a quick turnaround time, really as short as 2 weeks. But of course, we want to give our students longer if possible.
At Dove Mountain, average is a week for application process, but we can speed that up if needed and if you're motivated.
Amazing. Y'all, what a lightning round. That took like 5 minutes. I'm so proud of us all. Okay, wonderful. Well, if you're watching this right now, I'm going to add this completed worksheet. We'll put this in our follow-up email, and we'll also put it in the description of this video when we publish it on YouTube. And I think that is a perfect place to wrap up. I mean, I think I've learned that these boot camps don't accept just anyone, but there are some very specific things that you can do to prepare for the application process and really be ready to get into one of these schools easily. So thanks to everyone for tuning in, and to Stephanie, Jonah, Jackie, Kaylin, and Alyssa. We cannot thank you enough for being here and sharing so much of your experience and so many real tips and tricks and advice. We're going to post this video on our blog with the transcript soon, and we will send it to y'all in a follow-up email later today. So thanks so much also to all of your questions, Wallace and everyone else who RSVP'd early and sent in their questions. We're going to be doing a lot more of these live Q&As soon. So let us know in the comments or email us at hello@coursereport.com to let us know if there's a specific topic that you want us to dive into next. We will see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, everyone.